The president thought one photo could save him. But the man he invited didn't come to help, he came to refuse. And what happened behind that closed door was so humiliating, it was buried for decades. In politics, there are cameras everywhere. In history, there are records for everything. And yet, sometimes the most important moments happen where no one is supposed to look. Because the truth is, when a man is about to lose everything, he doesn't always run to his friends. He runs to the one person who can shame him into standing back up. Now, before we go any further, I need to say this clearly. What you're about to hear is told as a dramatic retelling of a story that circulates online. A story said to involve Richard Nixon and Muhammad Ali during Watergate. We know the real timeline. Nixon's support collapsed in those final days, and he announced his resignation on August 8, 1974, effective the next day. We also know Nixon had a private retreat in sand known as the Western White House, La Casa Pacifica. And polling from that week did show Nixon's approval hitting a brutal 24%. But the knees on the floor meeting. There's no public official record for that part, and that's exactly why this story grips people, because it's built like a secret. So don't listen to this like a textbook. Listen to it like a warning. Because whether every detail is provable or not, the lesson at the center of it is painfully real. Some people don't want to be saved. They want to be rescued from consequences. And those are not the same thing. August 1974. America wasn't just tired. America was embarrassed. Watergate had turned the White House into a crime scene made of paper and tape and whispers that got louder every day. And Richard Nixon, the man who once stood behind podiums like they were armor, now moved through rooms like he was already a ghost. His base was gone. His allies were silent. His own party was walking away from him like he carried bad luck. And the number that haunted him most wasn't legal. It was human. 24%. That's what the country thought of him. That's how small the belief had become. Every leader thinks they'll be remembered for the big things. Opening China, foreign policy, handshakes on world stages. But history has a cruel habit. It reduces men to their final moment. And Nixon could feel the reduction happening in real time. He wasn't sleeping. The nights were too long, too quiet, too full of the same question, over and over. Is this how I end? And in those final days, something changed. Not publicly, privately, the strategy stopped being about leading the country and became about surviving humiliation. Because impeachment wasn't just a political threat. It was the ultimate insult. It was the country saying, "We don't just disagree with you. We reject you." And to a man like Nixon, rejection felt worse than punishment. So his advisors started hunting for something impossible. A symbol so powerful it could bend emotion. A human shield so beloved it could absorb public anger. And one name kept coming up in whispered meetings. Muhammad Ali. Not because Ali was safe. Because Ali was the opposite. Ali was rebellion with a smile. Ali was courage with a voice. Ali was a man the government once tried to crush, who only got bigger. And that mattered. Because if Ali could stand beside Nixon, if Ali could appear to forgive him, then maybe the nation would pause. Maybe the outrage would soften. Maybe the story would change from crooked president to flawed man trying to heal. The logic was simple. If the strongest man in America showed mercy, America might follow. And Nixon needed mercy. Not later. Now. So the outreach began. Quietly, discreetly, and the offers started stacking up like chips on a desperate table. Access, introductions, favors, and in stories like this, there's always one offer that gets mentioned like it's the ultimate currency. A pardon, even though Ali's draft conviction had already been overturned years earlier. The idea of presidential protection still carried weight in a room full of political minds. The point wasn't the legal detail. The point was the message. Name your price. But Ali wasn't the kind of man who got hypnotized by shiny things. He'd already seen what power did. He'd already paid for standing on his own principles. So when the invitation arrived, he didn't say yes like a fan. He said yes like a man walking into a trap. And he made his terms clear. I'll meet, but I'm not promising anything. The meeting was arranged in San, at Nixon's private retreat, the place people called the Western White House. A place with ocean air and expensive silence. A place built for presidents who wanted to feel untouchable. But in August 1974, it wasn't a fortress. It was a hiding place. The kind of place you choose when you can't stand the look on people's faces anymore. The day was hot. The sky was too blue for a man living through a collapse. And Nixon was not the Nixon the world knew. Not the television Nixon. Not the podium Nixon. This was a different version. The one who had been awake too long. The one who looked like every headline had physically hit him. His staff didn't bring press. No cameras. No official notes. Just a room, a door, and the kind of quiet that feels like it has teeth. Outside the door, a Secret Service agent stood like a statue. Inside, history was about to do something strange. Ali arrived in a mood that wasn't angry. It was cautious, because Ali understood something a lot of celebrities don't. Politicians don't invite you in because they respect you. They invite you in because they want to use your reflection. They want your face, your aura, your weight. They want the public to think your strength has been transferred to them. Ali had been used before. He wasn't, so he walked in like a man entering a ring. Not with fists, with awareness. Nixon stepped forward and did what he always did when he felt cornered. He tried charm first. Thank you for coming. You look great. You training for another fight. Ali gave him politeness but no warmth. Because Ali could feel the desperation in the room. Not through words. Through the way Nixon's eyes moved. Through the way his smile showed up late. Through the way his hands didn't know what to do when there wasn't a microphone to hold. Ali didn't sit down slowly. He didn't play along. He didn't pretend. He simply said, "Mr. President, what do you want?" And right there, that one sentence, did something to Nixon. Because Nixon wasn't used to being spoken to like a normal man. He was used to being approached carefully, like a fragile object. But Ali didn't do careful. Ali did truth. And Nixon felt it. His smile faded. His charm failed. So he changed tactics. He leaned forward, voice lower now, like he was speaking to a priest. I need your help. He said the country was tearing itself apart. He said Watergate was bigger than him. He said the presidency itself was being damaged. He said he needed someone who could bridge the divide. And then came the real ask. One photograph. One statement. Just you and me together. Something that tells America it's time to move forward. And Ali listened the way a judge listens. Not nodding. Not reacting. Just letting the words fall onto the floor where they belonged. Nixon kept going. He offered deals. Opportunities. Access. The kind of help that only comes with a price tag hidden behind a smile. And Ali let him talk. Because sometimes the fastest way to see a man's soul is to watch what he offers when he thinks he's buying you. Then Ali asked the question that hit like a clean punch. Why would I do that? Nixon blinked. Because he had answers for everything except the one thing that mattered. Not what can I give you, but why do I deserve this? Nixon tried again. More deals, more promises. Ali cut through it. No, that's not what I asked. I asked why. And in that moment, the room changed. Because Nixon wasn't negotiating anymore. He was pleading without using the word please. His mask started cracking. You could hear it in his breath. See it in the way his shoulders sat lower. And then Ali said something quiet, almost gentle, but sharp enough to leave a mark. You're finished. Everybody knows it. The question is whether you finish with some dignity or finish with none. Nixon froze, because men who build their identity on power can survive losing elections. They can survive losing friends. But they cannot survive being told their ending is already written. And that's when Nixon's voice rose. He started defending himself, listing accomplishments like they were life rafts. I opened China. I ended the Vietnam War. I served this country my whole life. And then he said the line that revealed everything. They want to destroy me over some tapes, some lies. And Ali didn't argue. He didn't debate policy. He didn't play historian. He simply watched a man unravel. And when Nixon's fear finally spilled out, when he said the word jail, the air in the room turned heavy. Because no matter what you think of Nixon, the image of a former president behind bars is a nightmare that hits the gut. Nixon paced. His thoughts spiraled. And his final move wasn't political anymore. It was human, raw, desperate. He said Ali could stop it. One photo, one statement, one thing. Ali stood up, slowly, like the decision had already been made. And he said, I'm not going to help you. Nixon stared. The silence tightened, and Nixon asked the question that every desperate man asks when he hears no. Why? Ali's answer was calm. Because it won't work. A photo with me isn't going to save you. Nothing can save you from what you did. And then he said the words that made Nixon's face collapse. You broke the law. You lied to the country. No photo is going to fix that. Nixon stared at him like he'd just been slapped. And that's when the room hit its turning point. Not because Nixon got angry. Not because Nixon threatened. But because Nixon did something no one expected. He stopped being the president. He stopped being the strategist. He stopped being the man who always had an angle. And according to the story, he dropped down to the floor, on his knees, right in front of Muhammad Ali. And the voice that came out of him wasn't leadership. It was begging. Please, one photo, one statement. You're my last chance. And there it is. The moment the story is named for. The moment that makes people either lean in or call it impossible. The most powerful man in the world. On the floor, asking a boxer to save him. And Ali, standing over him, with the kind of silence that can change a life. Because what Ali said next wasn't about politics. It wasn't about forgiveness. It wasn't even about Watergate. It was about something bigger. Dignity. For a few seconds, nothing moved. No footsteps. No papers. No grand speeches. Just the sound of a powerful man breaking apart on a polished floor. And the strange part is, Muhammad Ali didn't look victorious. He didn't look proud. He didn't look like a man enjoying revenge. He looked tired, like he'd seen this before. Not the politics, not the White House, but the human thing. A man so afraid of consequences, he would rather lose his dignity than lose his image. Nixon's shoulders shook. His words came out messy, like they were stuck in his throat. Please, I'm begging you. One photo. One statement. That's all I need. Ali didn't answer right away. And that pause mattered. Because in that pause, Nixon probably expected what he'd always gotten from people. Pity. A deal. A soft I understand. But Ali didn't do soft lies. Ali did hard truth. Ali finally spoke, and his voice wasn't angry. It was lower now, controlled. The way a father talks to a son who's about to do something he'll regret forever. "Mr. President, stand up." Nixon didn't move. The begging continued, quieter now, like a child whispering in a dark room. Ali repeated it. "Not louder. Not. Just firmer. Stand up right now." And something about that sentence changed the air. Because Nixon wasn't being talked to like a president. He was being talked to like a man who had fallen. Nixon's hands pressed against the floor. He rose slowly, like his bones weighed more than they used to. He wiped his face with both palms, like he could erase the moment just by rubbing it away. Ali stepped closer. Not to comfort him. Not to shame him. To stop him from shrinking. "Listen," Ali said, "I can't save a man who won't save himself." Nixon stared at him with wet eyes. He looked like he wanted to argue, but he had no strength left. Ali kept going. "And you on your knees, begging me for a photo. That's beneath you. That's beneath the office you hold." Those words hit harder than any insult could. Because insults make you defensive. But that made Nixon feel small. And the truth is, Nixon didn't fear losing power as much as he feared being seen as weak. Ali knew that. So he didn't lecture. He mirrored. He made it personal. "I know what it's like to lose everything," Ali said. And for the first time, Nixon's eyes sharpened. Because even Nixon knew Ali's story. The government had come for him. They took away his title. They took away his money. They tried to take away his future. And Ali, without begging anyone, stood there and survived it. Ali leaned in just enough for the message to land. "They tried to break me," he said. "They wanted to make me kneel. But I learned something." Nixon's mouth opened, but no words came. Ali finished the thought for him. "I learned that how you lose matters more than whether you lose." Nixon flinched because he knew what was coming. Ali said it anyway. "You're going to lose this presidency. That part is done. But you still get to choose how you lose it." And now Ali's voice got sharper, not mean, just clear. "You can lose it begging. You can lose it hiding. You can lose it trying to trick people with photos and fake love. Or you can lose it standing up. Admit what you did. Take responsibility. Face it." Nixon's jaw trembled. He whispered almost to himself. "I can't." Ali didn't blink. "If I admit it, they'll destroy me." Ali's reply was so simple it sounded like a sentence from God. "They're already destroying you. The only question is whether you help them do it, or you take control of it yourself." Nixon dropped into his chair like his legs couldn't hold him. His head sank into his hands. The room swallowed him. And Ali watched him for a moment, not with hate, but with something like disappointment. Not because Nixon was losing his job. Because Nixon was losing his self-respect right in front of him. Nixon's voice cracked through his palms. "What do you want me to do?" Ali exhaled slowly. Not like a man giving advice. Like a man giving a verdict. "Resign," he said. "Before they impeach you. Resign and admit you made mistakes. Don't dress it up. Don't make excuses. Don't try to sound smarter than the truth. Just admit it. And accept what comes." Nixon looked up, eyes red, face empty. "And if I do that," he asked, "what happens then?" Ali's answer wasn't political. It was human. "Then you get to be a man again," Ali said. "Not a president trying to save a presidency. A man who has to live with himself." Nixon stared like he didn't understand that option existed. Ali continued. "You get to wake up and not spend the whole day building a mask. You get to look in the mirror and not wonder who you're lying to next. And maybe," Ali said, "you learn something from this." Nixon swallowed hard. For a second, his voice was smaller than it had ever been. "Why do you care?" And that question, that's the part people don't expect. Because if you're telling this story as revenge, the boxer should smile and walk away. He should say, "Now you know how I felt." He should twist the knife. But Ali didn't. He paused, and when he answered, it didn't sound like a punchline. It sounded like a principle. "Because even if you're the president," Ali said, "and I'm just a boxer, we're still human beings. And human beings deserve the truth. Especially when they're falling." Nixon's throat moved like he was trying to swallow shame. Ali picked up his coat. The meeting was ending. And Nixon, still desperate, still trying to grab the last piece of control, called out, "Muhammad, wait." Ali turned back. Nixon asked the one thing he couldn't stop himself from asking. "If I do what you're saying, if I resign, if I admit it, will you say something? Publicly?" Ali looked at him for a long moment. And you can almost see the calculation. Not a political one. A moral one. Ali finally said, "If you do the right thing, I'll acknowledge it. But I'm not endorsing you. I'm not pretending what you did was okay. I'll just say you faced it instead of running from it. That's the most I can offer." Nixon nodded slowly, like he'd just been given water after crawling through the desert. "That's more than I deserve," he said. Ali didn't smile. He simply said, "Yeah, it is." Ali walked out, and Nixon stayed. Alone. Not as a legend. Not as a winner. Just a man in a room with his choices. Rising ominous. And 2 days later, Nixon stood in front of the country and announced the end. But the real question is, did he resign because the evidence crushed him? Or because, for one private moment, someone finally told him the truth in a way he couldn't escape? In Part 2, Transition Hook. Because in Part 3, we're going to step into the fallout, the aftermath, the silence, and the quiet revenge hidden inside Ali's words. Not revenge against Nixon, but revenge against the kind of power that tries to bend men into liars. And what happened next is what turned this story from politics into a lesson about dignity.